Well, I hope you're having a good day, Venters. I was watching this video by this guy called My 2 Cents Schwerzo, a relatively new YouTuber, and it was kind of a walking YouTube, so I thought I'll watch this guy. He's walking for 10 minutes in this video. I'll watch it, see what he's going to talk about. And he brought up a pretty pertinent subject that's kind of top of mind for a lot of people. He brought up the idea that a lot of companies are starting to call people back to work, which is true. It seems a little nutty to me because the pandemic was so long ago, going on 4 or 5 years now, right? And I feel like most people returned to work a couple years back, but there's still some stragglers, but there's still some people that haven't returned to the office, and they are fighting tooth and nail not to go back. And I don't blame them. I work from home and I absolutely love it. It seems like everybody that I speak to that does work from home absolutely loves it. I think the reason that a lot of employers don't care for it is because they imagine you taking extra breaks, eating extra long for your lunch and break periods, going on walks during the day instead of focusing on work. And let's be honest, that probably was happening with a lot of folks at one point in time. But after you work from home for a while, unless you're just addicted to watching daytime television, a lot of times all of our friends are busy doing their job, right? And their work duties. And a lot of times there's nothing really to do but actually work. So where 3-4 years ago, I think employers and their paranoias regarding people being lazy at home were probably true, I don't think they're as true nowadays. And a lot of companies have ways of kind of spying on you while you're away from your office, so to speak. And they can kind of tell, how much you've worked that day or not. And that's one of the reasons why with sports, we always keep track of people's averages. If your favorite quarterback throws 30 touchdowns one year and only 5 or 6 interceptions, and then the following year he only throws 25 touchdowns and 15 interceptions, we know that his production was way off and he was a better quarterback the previous year. Well, employers can kind of tell this with your stats at work too. If you're bringing in a lot more revenue one year than the next, they can kind of say that, hey, either work for everybody got a little bit slower or it's just you. So what I think they do is they try to get people to return to the office because their thinking is if this person really wants their job, then they're probably going to come back to work. And then conversely, if a person doesn't really like their job that much, they're probably not going to be much of an asset going further, and they'll be the ones that probably don't show up. So I don't know if you agree or not. The gentleman whose video I was watching, he was kind of under the impression that it was a control thing. Employers like to have control, and I think we can all agree that's probably true. But I think at the same time, employers don't really like firing people, and if you can actually let them fire themselves by them refusing to come back into work, I think that's a good thing. Let's talk strategy real quick, Venters. If you were an employer and you wanted everyone to go back to the office, you know as well as I do, at any time, you could do that. Let's say you had 50 employees. You know in your heart of hearts, not all 50 are going to return to the office. But you also know that whoever does probably really loves their job. So you reserve the right in the future to say, okay, you 30 people that showed up, you're on my team. Reward yourself by going back at home. You're able to work from home. I think it's just a great way of trimming the fat, so to speak. A real good way. Guys, I want to talk to you super quick about courage. A lot of times I'll joke that back in the day, guys and girls wouldn't meet each other on dating apps. You had to actually have the courage to walk up to somebody and talk with them. And you guys see me walking up to people all the time and saying hello while I'm on my walks. But today I went out to the mall in a couple of different places just in the parking lots like a weirdo. And in the parking lot, I was looking for people to potentially interview because I would like to try something new with the show, actually asking people on the street some pertinent, poignant questions, because I thought that would be something that would be really interesting, not only for us, but potentially for a new audience going forward. Here's the problem. I forgot how scary it can be walking up to complete strangers, asking them for things, you know? So basically what your boy did was I basically hung out at the stores for 3 or 4 hours, just kind of sitting in my car trying to get the courage to talk to somebody. And I kept giving myself excuses like, hey, this person just doesn't look like the right one. No, that person won't work. But the reality was almost everybody could have had some fun answers to these poignant questions. Let me give you an idea of some of the questions I was going to ask. I have 15 here. I'll just read you 5 of them just for fun. And then you guys can tell me in the comments if you think maybe I should regain my courage and try to do it next weekend. I keep telling myself if I go out for 3 or 4 hours on the weekend and talk to, let's say, 5 or 6 people, that's enough where every day during the week I could show a video of their answers. So here's a couple of the questions. How would you like to be remembered? If you could change one thing about society, what would it be? What's the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you? And then on the other side of that, what's the kindest thing that you've ever done for a stranger? I already know the answer to that for most people. Not a damn thing. I know, Bob, I know. Is this life real or a simulation/test? That's one that I came up with myself. If aliens came down to take us out, who would you call first? So I had some really fun questions, and that was only 5 of the 15 that I have. But I just thought, if you think about it, guys, there's 1,000,001 fun questions out there that I would love to get answers from. And what made me think of this was the other day we showed a video from TikTok where basically it sounded like a young person. I don't know if it was a child's voice or what, but they were asking 65 and 70-year-old men, you know, what's your biggest regret in life? And I don't know if you remember, but both the men were like, I regret not getting married or getting a divorce or whatever. And those are huge questions that make people think, and a lot of people are interested because a lot of us went through some of those hardcore questions in life. If you ask people, what do you regret? I'm sure those 2 gentlemen aren't the only people that regret getting a divorce. I think if people that were contemplating divorce heard about how many people actually kind of regret it, maybe it wouldn't be so darn popular. You guys want the ability legally to get divorced, but wouldn't it be cool if we as a people actually experienced less divorce? I think that would be a beautiful thing. And if we could let people know that, hey, a small percentage of us get divorced because we think the grass is greener, only to find out we made a mistake. Did I make a mistake? Oh, heck no. I think a lot of people are good to get a divorce. It's just one of those things where I think we can all agree it would be best as a country if we didn't have such a high divorce rate. Wouldn't it be nice if instead of 55% or whatever the divorce rate is now, wouldn't it be nicer if it was only like 25%? I think that would be a good goal to hit. And the way we do that is not by establishing a law or creating a tax benefit for being married. It's simply telling young people, wait a little longer before you get married. Keep your virginity a little bit longer before you decide to let it go. Try to make better choices. You know, if we could make being safer and better more popular, I think it would help a lot of young people from making that mistake of getting married too early and then getting a divorce. Because there's nothing really good about getting a divorce, you know? So the first comment I'm going to share has 2 people that kind of made a similar comment, so I put them right after another, and it kind of echoes what I was saying. Look at that. Senior male Chihuahua Lost. Oh my God. That thing probably bites fingers. And even if somebody found that dog, no one's going to be able to grab it without risking their fingers. Nikhil, 8472, says they are hoping a lot won't return and they can thin the herd without firing people. You know, some people say, oh, what a horrible thing to do, right? But let's be honest, the people that really enjoy and love their job would probably go in person and do their job. When was the last time you guys saw an ice cream truck go through the neighborhood? Some of us have it regularly and some of us never have it at all. Those ice cream trucks started running a couple years back, and it's kind of nice to see them in the neighborhood. I always hear stories about how their vans are infested with rats and stuff, so I'm not as fond of the ice cream man like I was when I was a kid, but if you still very much love the ice cream man, I can't blame you. So anyway, Nikhil says they're hoping a lot won't return and that way they can thin the herd without firing. And then Music Lover said, a few CEOs finally admitted that it was a way to reduce their workforce. It's pure greed and evil, 100%. So let's say you're right, that it's pure greed and evil, because from an outsider's point of view looking in, it does sound kind of cruel if you know that by doing that, you're going to make some people want to resign. But here's the thing. I talk to teachers every day. People that really need to be in the classroom with the students. And for some reason, when COVID happened, they got so used to working from home that many of them have admitted to me that they just really want to work from home forever. They don't want to go back to the classroom. And you could let them know that, you know, technically you're giving the student a better shake in life if you're there to teach them in person. Because I think we can all agree you're probably going to learn more with the teacher there with you in the classroom than you are in an online course. But a lot of these teachers don't care. They just don't have any interest in ever stepping into a classroom again. And when you put that on, take that away from the education field and put it into corporate or everyday America, I think a lot of us feel that same way. We really don't want to go back to the office. And here's the thing, out of all of us, some of us really do perform better at home. We have less distraction than at the office. But I think we can also admit that there's a certain percentage of us that really do kind of act lazier at home. We don't really keep a schedule. Half of us don't even get dressed. I mean, could you imagine? Half the people that you talk to on a professional phone call don't even have clothes on. They're all in their underwear or pajamas. You would never do business with somebody like that in real life. Now, with that being said, how someone dresses at home when you can't see them shouldn't really affect how they perform. But again, does anybody see my point of view that what I'm saying is true? Is yes, some people can handle it, but some people can't. And so if you invite everybody to come to work, the people that don't really want to work are probably not going to show up. Because I have a feeling that your boss could still at any time say, okay, I know you guys are the ones that are actually with the company and with me. Go ahead and work from home. I could picture that happening. I would think that bosses would like the idea of being able to downsize their office too. You know, let's say you have an office that's perfect for a staff of 30 or 40 employees. Well, if you cut that in half and all you can do is, you know, keep about 15 or 20 employees in a smaller office that costs less, I would think that that would be appealing to the boss as well. As Robert Turner says, gas companies want it too. If people work from home, they lose all that money from people paying for gas for their commutes. Cars last longer working from home too. I think that's what I love about working from home the best. I used to go in to put $20 or $30 in my gas tank, and I would do that 2 or 3 times a week. And at the end of the month, it's like you put on all these miles on your vehicle, and then before you know it, a check engine light pops on your dash, or you're ready to go get another oil change, and you know, you might have to plan an oil change on your only Saturday off. I mean, I don't know about you, but the idea of not having to put those miles in your vehicle, not having to put that money directly in your gas tank, it really is a nice thing. But at the same time, if I was going to fire a bunch of people, I would want to do it in the nicest, smoothest way possible. Hey, everybody, come back to work. Whoever doesn't show up, your job's no longer your job. What a great way to let go of people without having to fire them. I think when they fire you, they might have to pay you unemployment. I'm not exactly sure how that works, because believe it or not, in my whole life, I've never filed for unemployment. I've had moments where I was unemployed, but I never went down and, sat in a line. I never went down and stood in a line for benefits. So I know that many of you guys may have experienced that, but if you're like me and you've never gone through unemployment, let me know down below. I think that's what motivates people like myself to work, is I just don't look at unemployment and stuff as an option. Is it an option? Yeah. Would I take advantage of it in the future? I'm not against it. I've just never taken that option. I think something in my head says, just go to work. Dingle Claus says, I feel like if I make a video about this subject, I'll get shadow banned. Dingle Claus, I feel the exact same way. When I was new and I would put up a video, and I felt like my older videos weren't nearly as good as my more recent ones, but my older videos would get a lot of action. Whereas now, if I say a curse word, or if I talk about President Biden, or this, that, and the other, I feel like my videos don't get pushed out either. It's really depressing because you can't help but look at other videos and other YouTube channels that are similar and think, my goodness, some people definitely get preferential treatment. With that being said, I've come to the grasp of reality in this world that life isn't fair. So you can't tell people that you're willing to do a walking channel and then on top of it talk about how unfair life is all the time, because that's why we're walking. Life is unfair. I'll tell you what would make it a lot more fair, though, if you and I could be as healthy as we can so we could enjoy this not so fair life a little bit longer. Extraterrestrial 112 says, my health suffered when we were required to return to the office. Migraines, gastrointestinal issues, weight gain and stress. There was a bunch of traffic I had to go through, etc., etc. And when I was there, I had more interruptions and so much less productivity in the office. So I think that could be true. Let's say you go to an office where you and your coworkers just chat all the time. Even if you have your own cubicle or actual own office, what's going to happen is you're going to be there, and when no one's looking, you're going to pull out your phone and you're going to get on Facebook. These things happen all the time. I think Facebook and TikTok and YouTube are probably killing a lot of production in the work office. But I think even if you have people working right underneath your nose in the offices with you, I think employers are still going to find that workers just aren't as productive as they used to be. It's because they're pulling out their cell phone and they're not working as hard as they can. And I say this, and I'm guilty of it too. Occasionally, when I should be focusing on work, I find myself listening to a YouTube video. Now, normally I play those in the background, but what do you do when something you're listening or watching becomes really interesting? You tell everybody, shh, be quiet, I'm listening to this. Turn up the volume, John. And before you know it, you're engrossed in whatever you're watching or listening to. Well, if that happens while you're at work, guess who's not going to be working? Oh yeah, you. The reason that your health probably suffers is because at the job, you're not expected to accomplish something and then take a 20-minute break as a reward. And I think when people work from home, they tend to do that a lot. Like, oh my God, I got to get in 5 phone calls and then I'm going to take a little bit of a break. And then that little bit of a break, instead of being 2 or 3 minutes like you would do at work, it ends up being a full-fledged half an hour. And I think employers know this happens, and I think they can't stand it. Sometimes employers are at their wits' end and they don't know how to get production back up to where they want it to be. So they just kind of assume that you're slacking off. Here's the horrible thing. You and I might be working the hardest we can, but you and I both know that our coworkers sometimes are legitimately slacking off. My coworkers are unique. They kick butt at what they do, and they're better at being recruiters than I am. So it's like one of those things where it's like darn near everybody that works from home where I work, they're seasoned. They know how to produce. It's crazy. Very talented people, the ones I work with. Waves Be Nice says commercial property loans are the reason a lot of banks and companies are underwater in their portfolios. You have all this corporate real estate, right? You have all these empty offices all around the country. I'm sure you guys have plenty of them. We have plenty of them here in Phoenix. That's for darn sure. All those places are just sitting there not being used. Everybody that's working from home, we're not going to the gas pumps putting gas in our vehicles. There's no need for a supervisor if everybody's working from home, right? So pretty soon you get to a point where there are legitimate forces that would like us to go back to work. With that being said, we all have a couple more options if you can find a job from home. Number one, if you don't have that wear and tear on your vehicle and you don't have to buy all that gas, it is easier to say, you know what? I think I'm just gonna take less money, take a job that maybe I wouldn't normally want, but since it's allowing me to work from home, I think I'm gonna go for it. If any of you guys have found yourself taking a lower paying job simply because you get to work from home, let me know, because I would imagine you're not alone. Rosie Noid says it's horrible to spend all day at work and then go home to sleep and repeat. Rosie, you know why this is, and I agree with you, that is horrible. The reason that everybody feels that way is because most of us have to work 45 minutes, sometimes an hour away, and you have to deal with traffic in the morning and then traffic going home. So instead of an 8-hour workday, it feels closer to 10, doesn't it? And if you know you're gonna be in traffic, and you know that you want to still get to work on time, guess what? You're waking up an hour and a half earlier than you need to wake up if you work from home. So again, it's one of those things where it's like, I think it would be awesome if we could all work from home. But at the same time, I see where the employers are coming from. I feel like I'm always on the side of the boss. I guess it's because I don't want to see more companies go out of business simply because people don't want to work. But it is horrible, Rosie. There's so much of a better balance when you get to work from home. And I'm telling you, when you can put on the miles on your vehicle in a 3 or 4 year period, and it's the same amount of miles that you used to put on your vehicle in 1 year, you really feel like you're saving money because you are. I would imagine the insurance companies love the fact that many of us are working from home. As a matter of fact, here's what doesn't make sense to me. If all of us are working from home nowadays, how come our car insurance rates aren't balancing out, right? They say that the price of cars is so high that they have no other choice but to raise our premiums and stuff. Well, if 1/5 of us are working from home nowadays, shouldn't our insurance rates reflect that? Yeah, Jesse, they should. They should be lower. And for some of us that work from home, they do give us a little bit of a break on the insurance based on the miles that you drive. JMN 1238 says companies like control too. They want to be able to watch people, so if you say you're busy, they can actually see it. There is something to that. If you ask people that work from home, are you busy? Are you staying, are you working, or are you being leisurely lazy? No one's going to tell you they're lazy. They're going to tell you that they're working 8 hours a day and this enables them to really work the whole time and stay focused. And sometimes it comes across as a bold-faced lie. People don't put it into fifth gear and really jam when they work from home the way they do in an office. So yes, are some of us able to handle it? Yes. Are some of us not able to handle it? No. Do bosses like having come back to the work policies so that they can let go of people? Yes, because it's easier than firing people face to face. Yes. Anyway, have a wonderful day. Whatever side of the debate you're on, let me know down below. If I had to pick a side, I work from home, so of course, I want everyone to be able to work from home. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.